Hello, I am so glad you can join me today. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Now guys, recently I made a dish. I made cassava fufu, and I had talked about growing up and grating the cassava and making flour and starch from the cassava. Well, I had asked if anyone wanted me to do it, to just let me know, and I got some messages saying yes, they want me to make the starch. So today I am going to use some cassava that I have here to make cassava starch that you can put in your clothes. You can starch your clothes. I'll tell you all about that later. Starch that you can use in your gravy to thicken your gravy. I'm gonna make that, and I'm also gonna make flour, so you can make your cookies or whatever you want to make from the cassava flour. Cassava have a lot of health benefits, so you can just go on Google and you can look up some of the health benefits of cassava. Okay, this is my cassava right here. I have a few pieces in front of me. This is a root here, and we call it cassava, and I said in Spanish they call it yuca. So today, let me get started by, I'm going to cut this up for you, and this is how I peel it. I just go all the way around like this. This is how I remember my grandmother used to do it. Just be careful and don't cut your hand, because it's very easy for the knife to slip off. Then you just come right down in the center like that, and just go all the way down. This knife is kind of big though. I should get myself a smaller knife. And you just go all the way around, and the skin is going to come off pretty easily. Let me get a smaller knife for that. Okay, this smaller knife will do the trick better. And you just go around and around and take the skin off. Okay guys, so that's it. This is my peeled cassava. So let me clean this up, wash the cassava, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do next. Okay? So my cassava here is nice and clean. I washed it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna blend it in my blender. I'm gonna blend it over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the pieces small, put it in here. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to make it blend easily, and this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna start by just cutting this into small pieces. And if you cut the cassava down in the center, there's a string. There's a string in the center, but you don't have to bother about a string like that in the center, but that's okay. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, just making small pieces to make it easier to blend in the blender. So now I'm going to take the cassava pieces that are cut up and put it in my blender. You don't want to put in too much at a time. Just add some water to that. And once I blend and the blender stops, now we're going to take this off. And we have our nice blended cassava. Looks like milk. Looks like a milkshake. You put it in there. And I am going to continue this process. This is what it looks like. I'm going to continue this process, and when I'm done, I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So this is it, guys. This is what it looks like. So now I have to strain it. It looks like cream of wheat. And I can feel that the starch has already settled to the bottom. So now, this is what I'm gonna do, guys. You can do something else, but I took one of my pillowcases. This is a clean pillowcase. This is what the old people used to use because the old people didn't have the cheesecloth and stuff. I didn't think that I was gonna do this, so I didn't buy a cheesecloth. So I cut a pillowcase, and this is clean. So now I have a clear bowl here, so I could see for the liquid to go in. So I'm going to put this over here, and I'm going to take some of this. I'm gonna mix it up because it's starting to settle to the bottom. I can feel it down there. And I'm going to pour it in my cloth. And the idea is to get all the liquid out, to strain it out. So, see, this works just as well. Here, you see, I always tell you, the old people say, when you don't have horse, you ride cow. Well, it's still that way. And you're gonna squeeze out as much of the liquid as you can get out. Just squeeze it all out. See, you ring it closed to get it out. Remember how you ring those closed, guys? I need a little bit of muscle. When I'm done here, I take another bowl here, and I take this and I empty in here. Okay, this is what I'm gonna make the flour. This is what we're gonna make flour with. So that's why we need to squeeze out as much of the liquid as we can get. Okay, guys, so I am gonna continue this process. Let me see how I can hold this without spilling it. Guys, and this is what I will continue to do, and I will be back as soon as I've done this process so that you will, so before we go on to the next step. Okay, guys, so this is the last little bit here. This cloth worked very good, guys, and this pillowcase was a new pillowcase. So if you have a clean pillowcase, you can do just this. And then just empty. And this is it, guys. This is the cassava right now. So let me tell you what I'm gonna do. Probably not gonna be able to show you that though. But to the bottom, I don't know if I pick it up if you'll be able to see the bottom. Can you see? Probably not. Okay, what's gonna happen here is the starch is gonna settle to the bottom and all just the water is gonna be at the top. So I'm gonna let this sit for a while, and then I'm gonna pour the water off, and then I'll have the starch to the bottom. So this is gonna sit, and it may sit for several hours right here until I think that maybe it's settled enough, and then I'll pour that liquid off, but I'll show you when I do that. And over here I have the cassava. I'm gonna put this in something else and spread it out. I'm gonna put it on a tray. I'm gonna get a big pan and put this on and spread it out. You just put it in a sunny area and just leave it there for several days. All the moisture is gonna dry out of it, and when it comes to a complete dryness, when it's completely dry, then we're gonna put it back in the in the blender and blend it until it's nice and fine. Okay, and that's how we get our flour. And this one we'll get the starch. So we get the flour from this one, starch from this one. So I will be back when we're ready to process that and show you exactly how that is done. Hi guys, it's the day after, and I'm about to pour the water off the starch. Okay, now I left it overnight because it was late and I left it overnight, but you don't necessarily have to leave it overnight. Just leave it for a couple hours just so that it can settle well, and then pour it off. Okay, over here, this is the cassava right here. I put it in a pan like this, so I will leave it here to dry. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it for a couple of days to see how long it takes to dry. I'll let you know how long it takes to dry. You know, some people put it in the oven also to dry, but I'm just gonna leave it in the sun and let it dry. Okay, now let me pour off this liquid and let's see what we have here. Let's go. I'm pouring off the liquid. The longer you leave it, it settles to the bottom better. And you know, when you pour off, you're not pouring off the starch over here. So this now, I'll get rid of this. I don't need this anymore. And I have my starch here. So now what I'm gonna do to that is I have a spoon right here, and I will and this is my starch right here. So now guys, what I'm gonna do to this is I am gonna also leave this to dry as well. I'm gonna spread this out. I'm gonna spread it out and just leave it. And this is how you make your starch, guys. So the next time you see me, this would be dry, and we will talk about it, of some of the things that you can do with it. Okay, so I'll be back as soon as this is all dry so I could show you my starch and my flour. Okay guys, it's another day and I am ready to finish up my starch and my flour. So let me show you, and then I'm gonna go over and tell you exactly what it is I done. I'll do that while I sip on some coffee. Okay, so over here I have a lot of things in front of me. If you look over here, you will see this is the flour here that we've been working on, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do next. And you see it is completely dry. You have to let it completely dry. Over here I have my starch, which is also completely dry. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, let's start with the starch first. I'm going to take it. Over here I have a couple jars that I'm going to put this is going to be for the flour, and I have a smaller one here that's going to be for the starch. So let me set that aside, and over here what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind this up together. Okay, so let me start by pouring this in here. This is my cassava starch. Get it all in here. that aside. Dust my hands off and go ahead and do this here. Put this over here. Oops, let me plug this in first. Okay guys, so now what I'm gonna do is take my starch and I'm going to blend it for a little bit. Okay guys, so this is the starch in here. Look at it. Let me pour it in. Okay guys, so here we go. Just took it out. And look what we have here. Powder starch. See that guys? Powder starch. So what I'm gonna do is I have this little bowl bottle over here. I'm gonna pour this in here. This is our starch here guys. This is all done in here. So we will use this to, as I said, when you making gravy or something, a thickener. When you're cooking and you want a thickener, this is what you can use to thicken your food. Back years ago, we also put a little bit of this in our clothes to starch our clothes. You put it in the water when you rinse in the water, and that makes it, like if you're doing your shirt and you want your shirt to be nice and stiff, you can do this, okay? But you can also keep this in your cabinet, and as I said, you need a thickener for your gravies or whatever. Perfect, right here. Now we are going to work on our, this is the flour that we're going to be working on, where we'll be baking our cakes and whatever else we're going to be doing with this. Let me see if I can put it in here without making so much of a mess. Now we're going to do this part. Put it on. I want this to check our flour now. Over here. And guys, this is your flour, your cassava flour. You can keep this in your cabinet. Guys, this is how you make your cassava flour. You can keep this in your cabinet. You can make cakes with this. You can make cookies. You can make all kind of different things with this. I'm gonna hang on to this, and at some point I'm gonna make some cakes or something with it and show you exactly how that is done. But this is how you make your cassava flour. Okay, you get a clean glass jar, and you're gonna keep this in here. I'm gonna keep this in here, have a nice little cover, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the cover on and keep this in here. So I'll go ahead and make the rest of it, and then I have my cover, my lid to put on top of it. I'll probably put a little label and on it so that I would remember what's in here. And this is my cassava flour, and next time I will make a cake or something with it and show you exactly how to do it. So guys, if you're from the island, I'm sure that you're familiar with this, because this is something that a lot of the old people did. You guys may not have done it for a long time, so you may not have remembered. So this is just a little refresher, okay? So if you live in Barbados or you live in any part of the Caribbean and you grow a lot of cassava, just don't give away the cassava, get rid of it or let it spoil. Just do exactly what I did. Now, when you squeeze the cassava and you have that cassava water, you sit it for a couple hours so that it would settle. But if you decide that you're tired or you have something to do and you cannot, it's late, and you cannot do, you know, squeeze it that day, but you're going to do it the following day, put it in the refrigerator. Okay, let it sit in the refrigerator until you're ready. The reason for that is if you leave it out overnight, it starts to smell, okay? The water will start to smell. So you don't want to just leave it out overnight. Put it in the refrigerator. But if you could do it within a couple hours, that would also be great, okay? You have like a backyard patio or porch or something that is very sunny, you can put it in the sun for a couple of days and let it dry. For me, I don't have a area where it's very sunny, so what I did is I put mine in the oven. So I turned my oven on and I put it on low. I let the oven heat up for a little bit, then I turn it off, and then I put mine inside of the oven, okay? And that's what I did for a couple of days because I had to go to work. So I did it in the morning, I did it at night, and I did it for a couple of days, and it was dry, okay? So you can do it that way. You can do it in the oven, or you can do it. Just don't put too much heat when you put it in the oven. Just put the oven on warm, turn it off, and let's let it sit in there, okay? Guys, I hope you all had fun watching this. I hope you can do this. Is a little experiment for you guys who may have a lot of cassava. This is an experiment. Maybe I'll make flour with something else because there's other things that you can make flour with, and maybe one day I'll do that too. If you want me to do it, just tell me and I will do it for you. I had fun doing this to show you guys, and I hope you have fun experimenting. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. If you've watched the video to this stage, just go ahead and press the subscribe button. If you have a question about what I just did as an experiment, just leave me a comment and let me know. Until next time, bye-bye.